Hey everybody, this is your first video, chapter 1, expressions and formulas. All right. First thing we're going to talk about is variables. So a variable is a letter known to represent an unknown quantity. This is something that you guys have seen a bunch already. So any letter in an expression or an equation is a variable. An algebraic expression, it has letters, numbers, and operations. It could have all three of those. It could have just letters and operations. It could have just numbers and operations. But the key thing is there that it doesn't have an equal sign, so no equal sign. Your equations are the ones that have equal signs. Okay, order of operations is PEMDAS. Okay, so PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. And the reason why I have multiply and divide and add and subtract together is because we do those from left to right. We don't do those in order. We do them from left to right. So if divide comes before multiply, we do that first. Okay, so the big thing here with your star, I want you to put that you can do division before multiplication if it comes first. So the same thing with addition and subtraction. Okay, so let's look at what this means to evaluate. Okay, so we're going to evaluate these expressions for m equals 12 and n equals -1. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do if we're evaluating, we want to plug in our numbers into the equation. So m in this case is 12, so I'm going to say 12 plus, and then n is -1, so I'm going to say 3 minus a -1. Okay, so that's what it all looks like plugged in. And then I'm going to start using my order of operations from up here, my order of operations, my PEMDAS, to actually simplify this. Okay, so first parentheses, so 3 minus a -1, well, that's just the same as 3 plus 1. So now I have 12 plus 4 squared. Exponents next, so 4 squared is 16, so 12 plus 16 then. And 12 plus 16 would give me 28. So there's my answer. Okay, my next one, I'm going to plug in my numbers again. So m in this case is 12. That didn't change. Divided by 2 times -1. Remember, when two things are next to each other like this, it means multiplication. And then plus 4. So I've got 12 divided by... I can rewrite it like this if I want. So either one of those will be the same thing if I'm rewriting multiplication. Okay, now I'm going to do my order of operations. So there's no parentheses, there's no exponents, but there is multiplication and division. And in this case, my division comes before my multiplication. Okay, so I'm going to divide first because it comes first from left to right. So that's 6 and then times -1 plus 4. Now I'm going to do my multiplication. So 6 times -1 gives me -6 plus 4. And then that gives me -2. All right, so let's look at another one here. We're going to evaluate. This one's getting a little bit more complex, a little bit more, a few more letters that we're dealing with. So now we're given 3 variables instead of just the 2. So we're going to first put in the h and the k because there are no j's in this one. So h is 4, so we've got 4 squared times k, which is 0.5, plus h, which is 4, times h plus k. So 4 plus 0.5. All right, 4 squared would give you 16 times 0.5, because we're doing exponents first. And we can do our parentheses here. Since the parentheses and this exponent don't affect each other, that's why we can do those kind of in the same step. So I did those two things first. So I technically did my parentheses here, and then I did my exponent here. So parentheses, exponents. Now I'm going to multiply or divide. So 16 times the 0.5. And 4 times 4.5 would give you 24. And when you add those together, you get 32. All right, here's our last one that we're going to do. Okay, so up here, J is -1, so I've got -1 squared. You're going to notice that I put negative numbers in parentheses a lot because your calculator does not do them correctly if you don't put them in parentheses. Okay, so -1 squared minus 3, and then h squared, so 4 squared times k, all over j squared plus 2. All right, so parentheses first. -1 squared would give me just 1. 4 squared, that's my other parentheses. So I've got minus 3 times 16 times 0.5. And then I can keep the -1 plus 2 on the bottom. All right, parentheses, no exponents. Then I'm going to multiply and divide from left to right. So my multiplication that I have is all this right here. So if I multiply that together, I end up getting 24. And then I'm going to add and subtract. So I've got -23 on the top and 1 on the bottom. And the reason I didn't divide this is because we kind of think as the top and the bottom of a fraction, both in parentheses, so I'm almost simplifying 2 sets of parentheses before I do my final division. So if I divide those two out, I get -23. All right, and that is your first video. We will see you next time.